Hello there, I am the Biblical Translator, and so called because I tend to paraphrase the Bible or translate it into a more user-friendly way so that we can relate to it today. And this morning I got one of those WhatsApps and it said, "We are all on a journey. No one is here to stay, no matter how much we want to. So touch hearts and spread goodness." And it's ironic because I was reading Mark 14 this morning, which said, "It was now 2 days before Passover and the festival of unleavened bread. The leading priests and the teachers of religious law were looking for an opportunity to capture Jesus and secretly kill him." I'll stop it there for a moment because I wondered why they wanted to secretly kill him and then they ended up publicly killing him. I was wondering how that transition was made. Anyway, let me continue. But not during the Passover celebration, they agreed, or the people may riot. Now, the Passover was when, well, it's around the 20th of April by our calendar and the 24th of March on the Gregorian calendar. And it was when the Israelites were freed from the Egyptian slavery. So it was really quite a meaningful event for them. So they didn't want to do anything there because there would be a riot, they say. Meanwhile, Jesus was in Bethany at the home of Simon, a man who had previously had leprosy. And while he was eating, a woman came in with a beautiful alabaster jar of expensive perfume made from the essence of nard. Now, I looked up the essence of nard today to see if you could still get it, and you can get it in Harrods for £285 for 25 mils. That's how expensive it is. So, some of those at the table were indignant. "Why waste such expensive perfume?" they asked. "It could have been sold for a year's wages and the money given to the poor." So they scolded her harshly. But Jesus replied, "Leave her alone. Why criticize her for doing such a good thing to me? You will always have the poor among you, and you can help them whenever you want to, but you will not always have me. She has done what she could and has anointed my body for burial ahead of time. I tell you the truth, wherever the good news is preached throughout the world, this woman's deed will be remembered and discussed." And so that's why it reminded me of the WhatsApp I got this morning talking about, treasuring people who are with you now. You don't spare expense on those you love, those who are important to you. Sometimes we spare expense and we think, oh yeah, we've got to, I'm going to do something next week, or I'm not going to spend it now because of A, B, C, D, and E. And yet, people come and go all the time, and we do not know when they're going to leave us. So this message for me is saying, look, that woman treasured Jesus while he was alive. She knew that he's not going to be there forever, so she took the opportunity to treat him generously while he was alive. They have this saying, don't buy flowers for the dead after people are dead. Buy them while they're alive. And it's the same principle. Treat people good while they're alive. Show love. Spread goodness. What else did I want to say? Yes, spare no expense to those you love after they're gone. There is nothing you can do. Yeah, so I think for me, that passage is really about appreciating people around you and just kind of acknowledging what they do for you. Sometimes, like I said, we take people for granted. People are around us all the time. We have our spouses, we have our parents, we have our friends, and because they're there, for those who are there, we take them for granted and we always think that they're going to be there, and so sometimes we abuse them. Sometimes we disrespect them. Sometimes we don't support them because we think, oh, well, they're always going to be around. In our head, we don't imagine that these people are going to be taken from us, even though we know it's inevitable for us to pass over and die. So I'm not quite sure why, when people are in marriages or relationships, why they don't make the most of each day, why they don't treat the person who they're with the utmost love and respect, just knowing that when they go through that door, they do not know what's going to happen. Every day well, not every day, sometimes I do forget, but when I leave my house, I always say, God, guide my going out and my coming in and all my footsteps in between. Because I know that nothing is guaranteed, and sometimes it's not my negligence, it's the negligence of someone else. I can be driving to work and somebody goes in the back of me, or somebody goes in the side of me, or a crane falls on me, or anything can happen. I could have a stroke, anything. I could go to work and slip and fall and hit my head. So when I leave my partner, or when people leave their spouses, they need to pay attention to how they are with them before they go through the door. What is the spirit? What is going on there? How are you feeling? Have you just had an argument? If you've had an argument, take time before you leave to try and resolve it. Sometimes people are stubborn, and sometimes we have our egos involved. Sometimes we just don't want to. And we kind of stick our heels in and say, I'm not going to apologise. It was his fault, or it was her fault. So I'm going to wait for them to apologise to me. They're the ones that were wrong. And so the animosity lingers, and it gets worse and it gets worse, and then the person gets more and more resentful. And then sometimes it gets to the point where there's no turning back. So, disagreements are inevitable. And not everybody is on the same page. We're from different worlds. We're from different experiences. And as much as you may have been with your partner or your spouse or with friends for several years, you still do not know that person. And so you're still both coming from different places. And so there's bound to be disagreements and moments where, you do not understand each other. And it's about taking those moments and trying to see how you can understand. Try to see things from the other person's perspective so that you can somehow reach a compromise and end up on the same page. Because what happens is that when that doesn't happen and that person leaves in anger or resentment or bitterness or revenge, and something happens to that person or something happens to you while you're left at home, that, say, your spouse or whoever storms off and storms out and doesn't say goodbye, doesn't say I love you, and then you have an accident and fall down the stairs and break your neck or something. What kind of guilt are you going to carry for the rest of your life that you didn't resolve that argument before you went through the door? So all I'm saying is that cherish those people who you're with. And like that passage that I got this morning said, spread goodness, spread love. We don't live in a perfect world, and with so much things happening, we're bound to be upset sometimes when we realise we don't have enough money to buy what we need to buy, and when we realise we're disappointing people, we're disappointing loved ones, and we just can't do what we would like to do. But try to hold the love in your heart. Love conquers all. Love is worth more than money, more than gifts. Show people appreciation and love. And it should be enough. For some people it's not. They're spoilt. but let's hope it is.